next topic is requirements collection guidelines. So in 1995, two persons named Kyle and Carmel, they evaluated certain projects, maybe around 28 projects in 17 different companies, and they found certain conclusions. So the conclusions were for mainly for the requirements collection. Okay, how you have to do the requirements collection. So there were 2 points they have given. Okay, the first point is establish 4 to 6 different developer user links. So that means if you compare the most successful projects, uh, the projects always had better developer and user links. Okay, that means there were good communication between the developer or the designer of the UI and also the user of the UI. If that is good, or if they communicate in a very good manner, okay, then you can say that the projects also will be more successful. So that was based on the research they have done. And next point was they have provided one more point, that is provide the most reliance on direct links. So that means instead of going for indirect links means when the discussions between the companies and the users go on, there will be two methods. Okay, you can communicate with the user. Okay, one is direct method of communication, or another one you have indirect method of communication. So in indirect method, we are going to use certain intermediary also to communicate with the user. That means intermediaries may be websites you may be using, or any other person also may be sent to the user group to communicate with the people. So that person also can be an intermediary. So that is another way of communicating with the people. So there are two methods. You can choose either indirect method of communication or direct method, but which is better? You can say that direct method of communication with the users will be helpful. Okay, so provide most reliance on direct links, that is direct link between the designer or the developer of the UI and the user. Okay, there should be good communication between the two people. So that is the meaning here. So this is about requirement collection. How you have to do the requirement collection, that is at least establish 4 to 6 different developer user links, and also you have to provide the direct links to communicate with the people. Direct links means it's better good to go for uh, have the direct communication with the people to understand what are their problems, what are their suggestions to develop the UI, so on. So let us see how to determine the basic business functions. Okay, so we have to prepare a detailed description of the product that will be prepared, and also we have to know what are the critical system inputs and outputs. The process the developer will use to determine the basic business functions are two here. That is, one is gain the complete understanding of user's mental model based upon the user's needs and the user's profile and the user's task analysis. And also next is develop a conceptual model of the system based upon the user's mental model. This includes defining objects and defining metaphors. So that means to determine the basic functionalities or basic business functions, first you have to understand the mental model of the user. Completely understand what is the mental model of the user. So here I say you have a designer one side, another side you have user. So both are using the same system, or they are going to understand the same system. But the understanding of the user who is actually uses the particular system, his understanding may be different from the designer's understanding. So mental model of the user will be totally different from the conceptual model whatever the designer is going to design. But still, this designer has to understand the mental model to prepare the conceptual model. So, the based on the experience, the different users will have different experience with the user interface when he is using the user interface. So there will be different mental models also. Okay, totally different mental models, but the conceptual model has to be prepared seeing all the mental models of the user. Okay, so how you can say about the mental model. Okay, mental model is prepared using how the user interacts with the system, or how you can ask this user how it is helpful for completing his task. Okay, using all these points, they are going to prepare a mental model. So gain the complete understanding of user's mental model initially, and then it is the mental model is based on user's needs and the user's profile. That means the different users will have different needs. Okay, their requirements will be different, and the user profiles also will be different. And what you have to do, the next task is you have to perform the user task analysis. And then after understanding the user's mental model, you have to, the developer or the designer has to prepare the conceptual model of the system. Okay, what he will be doing in conceptual model, he will be defining the objects. Okay, objects, and also these objects will be connected, that is there will be relationship between the objects. Okay, that means he is actually implementing the particular user interface. Okay, by understanding the mental model, he will be, and the conceptual model, he will be preparing one of the flow of objects, you can say, and there will be relationship between the objects. All this he will be defining initially, and develop the metaphors. So what do you mean by metaphors here? Metaphors are nothing but, for example, you have a website and you have got a small icon there, like help. Okay, so help is a metaphor, so that you will understand what exactly that help icon will be doing. Okay, so that is, you have to define different metaphors. Okay, or you have to give the names for the particular icons or any menus or menu list. When you are preparing, you have to define with certain words there. So that is called developing the metaphor. Understanding the user's mental model. So the next phase in the interface design is to thoroughly describe the expected system user or users and their current tasks. Okay, what you have to do is you have to describe the expected system users. So there may be certain system users particularly using the certain interfaces. Okay, you have to describe them and what are the tasks they may be performing with the system. That also has to be identified, and you have to describe it. So actually in our previous modules, what we understand, that is we have to understand the user or the client in depth. So that is the main goal. So the goal of the task analysis is to understand the user and to gain the picture of the user's mental model. A mental model is an internal representation of person's current conceptualization and understanding of something. Actually here you can say that a mental model is actually to represent what the person's current conceptualization or understanding, how he has understood the particular system, in what way he is going to interact. So all these will be represented, okay, using a mental model. The mental model gradually developed in order to understand. Mental models enable a person to predict the actions necessary to do the things of if the actions have been forgotten or have not been encountered. So there will be different mental models for different people. So if your user experience or any user experience is less, means his mental model will be different from the experienced users. Okay, so that is why the mental model enables the person to predict the actions necessary to do things if the actions have been forgotten, or if he has not done, or if he is doing it for the first time, his mental model will be totally different. One of the main goal in understanding the mental model of the user is performing the task analysis. So this is the main goal of understanding the mental model. So let us see how you are going to perform the task analysis. Okay, so user activities are precisely described in task analysis. So you are going to describe in a very precise manner the what are the different user activities. Okay, so some person may be performing certain activities with the system, and these activities has to be described in very neat form. Okay, that is the first activity we for performing task analysis. And then the task analysis also involves breaking down the user activities to individual task levels. Okay, so the next step is we have to break down the user activities. And then that goal also has to is to understand how and why the people are doing the current things, why he is interacting with the system and how he is interacting with the system. All this has to be obtained. And task analysis also provides information concerned with workflows, the interrelationship between the people, objects, and also certain user conceptual frameworks. Okay, so it provides information about the interrelationship between the people and interrelationship between the objects, and what are the relationship between the actions, okay, which is going to perform, and also users conceptual frameworks. Okay, so these are all understood here. And then uh, what actually they are going to do in task analysis is the work activities are also studied in task analysis, and they are also going to describe. So these work activities can be studied or it can be described by the users. Okay, so how work activities are being carried out, or the study of the work activities is being carried out. It is by direct observation or interviews they may be doing, or the questionnaires they will be doing with the users. So all these methods they use to understand or study the work activities of the user. And then after that, the output of the task analysis is a complete description of all user tasks and interactions. Okay, so the main goal here is to understand what are the user tasks and what are his interactions with the system. The final output will be this. Okay, and also along with this, one more thing, the output of the task analysis having the objects. Okay, list of objects are also created using the task analysis. Okay, so these objects are also categorized into different kinds. The objects can be categorized into concrete objects. What do you mean by concrete objects? So suppose in your user interface. Suppose you can touch that uh, icon, you can say it as a concrete object. Okay, the things that can be touched, we usually call it as concrete objects. And next thing is who are the objects of the sentences. That means you have to understand how the employee or the customer is going to interact with the particular user interface. That also has to be understood, and you have to keep track of all the informations, that is how the objects is interacting, how the uh, actions are being performed, all this. You have to keep track of all the information. And also the objects are sorted in a different manner. That is, people who are subject of sentences, we say the people who are subject of sentences means normally the users of the system are the subject of sentences. So this, how these people, that is the normal users, are going to interact with the objects, that also has to be recorded. And other than this, some are abstract objects. Okay, so that also has to be sorted out. So you have to categorize the objects as well while doing the task analysis. Developing the conceptual models. So the output of the task analysis is creation by the designer of a complex conceptual model for the user interface. That means after the task analysis is being done, the finally output of the task analysis will be the conceptual model. So conceptual model which will be designed by the designer of the UI. So here the conceptual model is based on user's mental model. So when I say the mental model is influenced by person's experiences. Okay, so people may have different experiences. So you can say no two user mental models will be exactly the same. So because based on the experiences, the user will develop different mental models. So that's why the finally when you are saying the mental models of each of the person will be totally different. Okay, so as a person works with the system continuously, so his experience also will be gained, and he will be having lot of experience after so many years, and he will develop a totally different mental model of the system. Okay, so that means suppose your mental model, now suppose if you are using the uh, user interface for the first time, your mental model will be different. That means your understanding level of the particular user interface will be totally different. And as the time goes, your experience will be increased, and you will develop a better mental model after you gain the experience. So maybe after 10 years of usage of the same user interface, you'll be getting a, or you'll be having a lot of experience, and your mental model will be also in a very better manner. Okay, so that's why we say the mental models are influenced by always by the person's experience. The goal of the designer is to facilitate for the user the development of useful mental model of the system. Okay, so the goal of the designer is to make, or the designer will help the user to develop a useful mental model for a system. And whenever you say mental models will be developed regardless of the particular design of the system, and then they will be modified with experience. So this is about developing a conceptual model from a mental model. Okay, so first you will be having a mental model. From mental model you will be getting the output as task analysis. So from the task analysis you are going to develop the conceptual model. Okay, so conceptual model is actually developed by the designer or the developer of the system. So there are few guidelines for designing the conceptual model. So first let us see what are the guidelines. The first guideline is reflect the user's mental model, not the designer's model. Okay, so when you say the user will be concerned with certain tasks that has to be performed with the system, okay, and he will be looking at the system in a different manner, and his experience is also different. So his mental model will be totally different from the designer's mental model. So what the designer has to do, he has to develop the user's mental model, not his mental model, user's mental model. Okay, that means how the user is going to interact with the system, or how how he is going to deal with the tasks with the system, how he is going to interact. All these are defined in mental model. So you have to reflect the user's mental model, not the designer's mental model, because designer will have a different perception of the particular system, or he will be interacting in a different manner because he will be experienced, more experienced. So that's why always remember your conceptual model has to be defined using the user's mental model only. And here the designer, what he when he is going to model the conceptual model, he also has to focus on a design of the interface and different kinds of objects he is going to interact, and interaction methods, and also visual representations on the screen. So this all has to be kept in mind when designer is going to develop the conceptual model. And next is draw the physical analogies or present the metaphors. So you know what are metaphors. So when you are going to when you are going to present the metaphors, remember that that metaphors should be very familiar and well known, so that the user can interact with the system in a very effective manner. Okay, for example, I say when you see the word, particularly like search, okay, you will be understanding what what is a task that is performed by search. Or when you see a menu, you'll remember the menu of a hotel, is it? So these are common words which are very familiar to the user, is it? So help when you say help when you see on the screen, okay, you'll be understanding what action it will be performed. So this will help the user to understand the system very in a very better manner, or his user experience also will be gained um, in a very short time. Okay, or you can say you can he can understand the system in a very faster manner. So that's why draw the physical analogies or present the metaphors. And remember that whenever they are going to use the metaphors, these metaphors should be from real world. Okay, so that it will be easily understood by the user. And next is compile with expectancies, habits, routines, and stereotypes. So create the system that builds on the knowledge, habits, routines, and expectancies that already exist. Okay, so avoid new or unfamiliar things. Okay, for example, whenever you use the colors, certain colors in your system, okay, you may be familiar with normally the red, the yellow, green colors, okay, which are already well established. Okay, instead of going for a different color, you can use very normal colors, and that means the familiar colors you can say, okay, and compile with the expectancies, habits, routines, and stereotypes, okay, which are very the particular habits which are very, or the routines which are very familiar, go with that. Okay, so that the user experience also will be gained very easily. And next is provide the action response compatibility. For example, the names of the command should reflect the actions that will occur there. Or you say uh, provide action and response compatibility. Say you have in the in your window you have help. Okay, so when you click on that, the help menu or the particular brochure will be displayed on the screen. So there is a response for an action. There is a response. You have to provide the action and response compatibility. Okay, for any action there should be a very good response, as well as the response should be on time, and you can say the response should be relevant to the subject, or what he is going to click on the particular UI. And next is make invisible parts and process of the system visible. So when you create the mental model, person must make hypothesis about what is invisible and how it relates to what is visible. So the as you as more experience is being gained, the mental models usually evolve to become more accurate and complete. So when you say, for example, you try to move your document from one place to another place in the screen. Okay, so this is visible part of the action what you are going to perform. Okay, you feel that you are moving the document, one place to another. Or you say, for example, uh, when you're processing certain documents. Okay, so in the side you may be displayed it is processing, so that user will be understanding some action is going on with the system, and he will try to wait. If there is no feedback, or the response is not there from the system, then this user will be confused whether the system is performing the action or not. So this has to be avoided. Okay, so there should be uh, certain actions continuously that has to be shown to the user, so that he can interact in a very better manner. So make invisible parts and the process of the system visible. Okay, so usually in command language that doesn't happen. So for example, in command language interface, what happens? The document, when you have to move certain document, you have to type the series of commands. Okay, but whether the file is moved or not, you will be not knowing. Okay, there will not be interaction with the between the user and the system. Okay, the task will be performed, but it will be invisible to the user in command language interface. But doesn't happen in case of a direct manipulation system. For example, you take your mobile. Okay, you try to move certain photos. What happens? It is visible to you. Okay, you interact with the system in a better manner. You drag the particular document or folder or photos, click on it, so all these are visible to you. So that's why make invisible parts and process of the system visible. That is one more important point here. And next is provide proper and correct feedback. Okay, so uh, whenever you are going to interact with the system, then you might be seeing at the side, if a file is loading, it will show, the system will show that it is loading, or when it is opening, it will show it is opening. So there must be continuous indication of the status what the user is going to do. So that is a proper, you can say it is a very good feedback from the system. Okay, like the system, if it is showing the messages like loading, opening, searching, closing, all this. Okay, so there will be a continuous, or the system will provide continuous indication of the system. This has to be done. And also the system has to provide visible results of action. That means, see, whenever you click on item, icon, okay, that icon is highlighted, is it? So that is very good feedback, you can see, feedback from the system. Hmm? The action is visible for you, what happens. And also display the actions in progress. Okay, so whenever you are going to, for example, you are going to minimize the window, minimize and maximize this window size. Okay, so this particular action is also visible to the user, is it? So proper feedback will be given from the system to the user. So that is a visible results of action, you can see, or a display of actions in that is in progress. And also present as much context information as possible. So that is, for example, when you are performing certain operations, you are given with the certain background or history informations. So that your navigation, or your menu, what you are searching, will be displayed on the screen, as well as a navigation process will be in a very speed man or a faster manner. Okay, so the user generally maintains a list of choices that he's selected to get at the current point. Okay, so that is present as much context information as possible in the screen. Okay, context information means it's like a background or historical information. Historical information of what the user has performed, what are the recent activities he has performed. All this has to be shown on the screen. And provide clear and constructive and correct error messages. For example, error messages, if it is incomplete, for example, uh, then there will be a confusion with the user what to perform. Okay, so your error messages, whatever you show on the screen, has to be relevant. And it has to make user help in recovering the system. Okay, so suppose in by mistake if he does certain mistakes, okay, the if system has to show immediately, or it has to show a constructive message, hmm, to recover from the uh, error whatever he has done. And next is avoid anything unnecessary or irrelevant. So don't try to display irrelevant information on the screen, because people may be interrupted, or his concentration may go somewhere to unrelated messages that is present on the screen. And he may what happens if certain displays are there, his mental models also will be changed. It will affect his mental model, and this will create a false assumptions about the system, you can say. Or you say too much color on the system. Okay, too much color, some unwanted colors may also will distract the people for, and that will make them to make certain erroneous assumptions. And they will try to interpret with the colors. Okay, this will result in faulty and unclear mental models. So always remember that whatever the displays, whatever you give on the screen should be relevant information only. Okay, simply don't put certain diagrams or any icons which are unrelated to the particular task. And next is provide the design consistency. uh, Design consistency reduces the number of concepts to be learned. That means, for example, you say error is caused by the user action that is inconsistent with certain similar actions. Uh, Explain in the error message that this condition exists. This will prevent the user from falsely assuming that the model he or she has been operating under is incorrect. That means if you suppose you show the uh, error message for on the screen, and user, if he thinks that that error message is not needed, okay, he may think that it's not unnecessary, simply it is showing the error message, and his thinking will be different. So the system has to show why it has shown the error message with the message under that, okay, so that it will be clear to this user that it's simply it has not displayed the error message. You have done certain action, that is because of that the error message has been appeared on the screen. Or else what happens, user will normally assume that the system itself is not, it's not working, or he will blame the system, or he will blame the user interface, it's not very good. Hmm? Because people are prone to do the mistake, but when he does the mistake, some error messages will appear, okay, and the error message, when it is displayed, it has to show the message that it is also very much necessary. Why? Because you have done these kinds of steps, that's why it is showing the relevant message, okay. So this has to be understood by the user. So whatever the message it has shown, that has to be again understood by the user. If he is able to understand, then it will be fine. Or else there will be a false, he will think falsely about the system, or you can say he will think that the system itself is not proper. So that is why always remember that provide the design consistency. And next is provide documentation and help the system that will reinforce the conceptual model. Consistencies and metaphors should be explicitly described in the user documentation. This will assist the person in learning the system. So very much this is documentation is very much important. So this will help the other users to learn the system, okay, or the new users will be uh, they will feel better to learn the system if there is a certain documentation. For example, if you are given, when you are given with the new system, you are given always with the manuals, is it user manuals? So that helps the user to understand the system in a very better manner. So that's why documentation will help the user, and also it will help the system that will reinforce the conceptual model in a very better manner. And next is the promote the development of both uh, the new users and the expert mental models. So the Navy users or experts are likely to bring very different mental models when using the system. So this will promote the development of the mental models. So there will be completely different mental models between the user and the new user who is going to interact with the system, and the expert user who is going to interact with the system. But the both will help in development of mental models, okay, that will help in promote or the development of better mental models, okay. There should be mental models that is collected from the normal users or the new users, you can say, and also the expert users. So there will be different mental models for both of the users, okay. So that later collecting these mental models, you can develop the conceptual model in a very better manner. Next is defining the objects. Determine all the objects that have to be manipulated to get work done. Describe the objects used in tasks, object behavior and characteristics, and also relationship between the objects, actions performed by the objects, objects to which actions actually apply, and the state information or attributes of each of the object has to be understood. So determine all the objects that have to be manipulated to get the work done, and identify the objects and actions that appear most often in the workflow. You have to identify the which are the main objects or which are the main tasks uh, uh, that most oftenly appear on in the workflow. Okay. Make the several most important objects very obvious and easy to manipulate. So when you're defining the conceptual model, one thing is you have to understand the objects, another one is you have to develop the metaphors. So how do you choose the metaphors? Choose the analogy that works best for each of the object and its actions. So for a particular action, which analogy, which metaphor is best, that has to be chosen. Okay, as you know, word search, okay, it is a very best word to for that particular action, search action, is it? So that's why they have chosen it in a thinking of the user's mental model. They have thought that the metaphor that they have used is very much it suits that particular action. Okay, and also use the real world metaphors. Always use the real world metaphors. For example, like search, help, or opening, closing. All these words are very real world words, is it? So this helps in understanding the system in a very better manner. So then you have use simple metaphors, simple, which is not complicated. Mm. Simple words will make user to understand the system in a very simple manner. Complexity should not be there whenever they are using the words. Mm. Use common metaphors. Okay, commonly used metaphors. Okay, some words which are very familiar to the user, such words has to be chosen. And next is multiple metaphors may coexist. Sometimes multiple metaphors also will exist within the system. And then use the major metaphors even if you can't exactly replicate them visually. And then test the selected metaphors. So this is the second step, or you're going to develop the metaphors in the second stage, that is in the conceptual designing phase.